we can now officially play Brickcraft, which is a canceled LEGO Minecraft game made as an official collaboration between Mojang and the LEGO Group. Now I'm going to show you everything that this early build has to offer, but first of all, how do you actually get a hold of this leaked copy of the game? You can download it here on the Omni Archive website. I'll put a link in the description as well as a link to their Discord server where a lot of the information from this video actually comes from. Now if you hit this download button here, you're going to download a zip file, which when you extract it, it's going to have a game folder and then an assets and bin folder. You're going to go into the bin folder, into the Win32 folder, and then to launch the game, you have to first launch this server.exe file, and then once that's running, you can launch rexquando.exe. Now if you're not familiar with Brickcraft, Rex Kwon Do is the secret working title that this game had before anyone actually knew about it. I'll get a little more into the history of the game itself in a little bit, but first let's talk about what the game actually has to offer. Now when you launch, you're going to be in this endless green world that I'm assuming goes on forever, and you'll be able to place down different Lego bricks. If I scroll with my scroll wheel, you can see I can select different types of bricks, and if you right click, you can rotate bricks. And as you can see, it's pretty much like Minecraft, but instead of being restricted to just cubes, you have all sorts of different shapes you can work with. And then by pressing Q and E, you can actually change the colors of these bricks, and I'm sure you can imagine that you can make all sorts of cool stuff like this. Now you might notice as I play that my mouse kind of like stutters around. That's a bug because this is such an old game that's running on newer hardware. I'm sure people will try to mod this leaked version of Brickcraft to try to get rid of those sorts of bugs, but for now it's just something we have to deal with. I can actually sprint by holding down the shift button, and I can hit space to jump as well. Not that there's a massive point in doing that beyond just getting around a little faster, because there's nothing to do in this world. There's no monsters, there's no caves or anything. It's just placing blocks in this endless void. Although you do have limited blocks, technically, as you can see on the bottom hotbar. I start with 10,000, but every time I place a block, it goes down. Although if you hit tab, you can destroy blocks and then you can get them back. It doesn't matter what color they are. If you break a 2x4 brick like this, you're gonna get back a 2x4 brick. And we can just mine away this green grass here. Although the world is not infinite, I believe it only goes down to like a height of 4. Yeah, here we go. We can see there's this like gray bedrock down here, and this is the limit of the world. You can't break this. It's like a giant endless gray base plate of sorts. Now, although this game is pretty much just placing and breaking these different colors of bricks, there are 39 different colors to pick from, and that's not just a random choice. This game was actually meant to be compatible with LEGO's old file format for creating LEGO sets yourself digitally in their old LEGO Digital Designer tool. Now, that tool has been phased out, but you can still create files compatible with this game using the app stud.io. And this copy of the game itself actually comes with 2 models that you can import using the I key. Now this is going to bring up a file explorer, and you can see we have test.lxfml and testbrickimport.lxfml, which is the LEGO model file format. Now we're going to just first import testbrickimport. It's going to whip my camera up really wildly, and then you'll see that it's just a bunch of different colored bricks stacked up like this, probably a test that Notch made to just test all of the different shapes and colors of bricks. This is actually every shape of brick, if you couldn't tell, in blue, green, yellow, and red. And then we'll import that other model here, and it's actually this giant mangrove looking tree, interestingly enough, which is super awesome. Now if we hit R on our keyboard instead, it will actually just re-paste in the thing that you last pasted. So I just pasted in that tree, so I can now paste in another tree, and I can just put in as many of these trees as I like to populate my world. So hopping over to stud.io really quickly, this is the modern equivalent to LEGO Digital Designer, and this tool allows us to create our own models right here, like this amazing original character I've created. Then we can go over to File, Export As, and hit LXFML, which is that same file format that the test models had. And then back over here in Brickcraft, I can go to Import, and then I can go find my model that I created here in this custom models folder. I'm going to import it, and there we go. My custom model is in Brickcraft. And then I can just hit R to place a couple more of those around, because, you know, you can never just have one of these things. Oh, and if you press Z, it'll actually undo the last thing that you pasted. Now, you can't just like keep undoing infinitely. You can only undo once. So I can place down this model and undo it, but if I place down 2 models and then I hit Z twice, it only works for the last one that I placed, so just be careful with that. Now over here in the Omni Archive Discord server, Fant A. Zappenheimer has made this awesome bit of documentation that shows everything you can do, and in here you can see that there's actually commands that you can run in the little server window. Now if we hop over to those 2 files and open them up, we can see that the first command is list commands, which I'm just going to run in the command prompt here, so we can see everything we can do. We have list commands, message, reload script, spawn entity, test lxfml, import lxfml, undo import, alias, and unalias. Now I know that the alias and unalias commands, what they do is they pretty much just let you run other commands with different words, so I can like set the list commands to instead be the word dummy, but that doesn't actually get saved when you restart the server, so they're not that useful. So let's go ahead and give test lxfml a shot and see what happens. It says lxfml import finish. Now I don't know what that does. I'm assuming maybe it imports one of these trees at a specified location. I'm not sure what that's doing. Let's try import lxfml and then we can say the word test, and that didn't seem to do much either. I'm not sure how those work. Maybe they are importing the models and I just don't know where they're importing them to. Now let's try spawn entity, because this is interesting. I didn't know that there was an entity in this game. I certainly don't think there's a way to spawn it without the command. But okay, so there's the tree. I don't think I put that tree there, so I'm assuming that one of those commands put that tree there. But where is the box? It said it spawned a box. I wonder where it would have spawned it. It probably would have spawned it at 0, 0, right? Which is where we spawn. But I'm not really seeing it. Let me go back into breaking mode. I don't think I said earlier, you go into breaking mode by hitting tab. Yeah, I don't see a box. I'm gonna assume that didn't really do anything. Maybe it did and I'm just stupid. You can type message and say example. That just said example in the command prompt. It doesn't look like anything actually happened in game. I'm realizing I think that these commands aren't really useful to run on the server, but are things that can be done by players. But it doesn't seem that players can actually access a chat of any kind to talk. So again, not super useful. But what's a little more interesting is this file here called item.lua. Now you'll notice that all of these lines of code have 2 little dashes in front of them, and that's pretty much going to disable the entire file. But if we get rid of all those dashes, and something pretty interesting is going to happen. And now if I restart the server and type list commands, we're going to see that there's a new command down here called add jetpack, as well as list players. Now list players obviously is just going to list the people who are connected. I don't have a username because the game doesn't support usernames, but this is me, 2408982218. But add jetpack is much cooler. It's going to spam the chat, but if we go back into the game, you'll notice that by holding space, we can actually move upwards. I'm actually not sure how I'm supposed to control this, to be honest. It looks like I'm kind of just like hovering in place, but if I hit space, I do like jump really high. Yeah, I'm not sure how actually convenient it is to use this, because sure, it lets you move a little better, because you can get up on top of stuff, but yeah, it doesn't seem very useful for actually building, because you kind of want to be able to stand still to build, and I'm constantly jittering like this. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to restart the game because I find the jetpack to be incredibly annoying, but I think I'm going to try to build a little house here and tell you guys what there is to know about Brickcraft as a game. So the only reason people even know about Brickcraft in the first place, because it was a canceled game that had a code name, so no one actually knew what Rex Kwon Do was, is because on a LEGO podcast in 2020, when they were celebrating like 15 years of LEGO games, they decided to reveal to the world that there was actually going to be an official LEGO Minecraft game at some point called Brickcraft. Now, it wasn't literally going to be like LEGO Minecraft, but as you can see, obviously they wanted to work with Mojang because Mojang had experience making these sort of brick building games, and LEGO was interested in having something like that for their own brand. But things seemed to go south apparently because LEGO was adamant about making sure the bricks looked really pristine and clean and like perfect, whereas Mojang and Notch specifically were more interested in making the bricks look a little more realistic and like worn out, like real LEGO bricks do get as you play with them. And apparently that was a point of contention on the project that may have been part of why it eventually got canned, but who can say for sure. And because this was such a top secret game that nobody nobody knew about for like 8 years, there was really no expectation that would ever become playable by anyone. I mean, why would it be? Why would they ever release a working version of Brickcraft if nobody even knows the game exists? But then one day, someone completely anonymous contributed this copy of Brickcraft to the Omni Archive. And if you don't know what the Omni Archive is, it's basically a group of people who are dedicated to preserving lost media from Minecraft. So all those like really early versions of the game that aren't a part of the launcher, they hunt those down and they make them accessible to download. But yeah, we don't actually know who's responsible for making Brickcraft accessible to everyone. Now it looks like the server actually crashed for me while I was in the middle of building my roof, but this seems like a good opportunity to actually come back to the game and show you that it does have working multiplayer. So I've launched the server again and opened up a client, and I'm gonna stand right here by some like white slopes, I guess. And now I'm gonna launch a second instance of the client. And if I just come over here, you can see me moving right here. This is what the player for Brickcraft actually looks like. It's just a stack of 3 gray bricks with a red brick on top to represent the head. It's pretty silly, but you know what? I honestly would have loved to play a game where there's just a bunch of these goofy looking monoliths wobbling around. And I genuinely really hope that people get into modding Brickcraft to make it more playable, maybe improve its graphics a little bit, because already the people over on the Omni Archive Discord have started working on fixes to make the game more playable on other systems. Like, I have an NVIDIA graphics card, so the game launches fine for me, but for people who have Intel or AMD graphics cards, the game just doesn't work for them. So people have already created fixes for those graphics cards if you want to play Brickcraft on a computer that doesn't have an NVIDIA graphics card. So I hope to see that kind of stuff continue, and you know, if there's anything else interesting to say about Brickcraft in the future, I'll definitely make another video covering it. But yeah, go ahead, check out the link down below, download Brickcraft, give it a shot. You know, it's not super incredible or anything, but it really does make me think how cool it would be to have a game like this, where there is technically a Lego grid, but you know, we're not confined to just having cubes, because I don't know if you saw my terrible house I was building there, but it was pretty cool to be able to have, you know, large wide bricks like that, and then tiny bricks, and then slopes. And if it was just a little easier to build, and if the mouse didn't twitch or anything like that, I can really see something like Brickcraft actually being a super fun game. I mean, no, not necessarily like a Minecraft killer, but you know, something worth playing for sure. And I know that, you know, Lego has come out with other games where you can build things with Lego bricks ever since. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but you know, Lego Worlds I think is one of them, and Lego Fortnite obviously comes to mind. But you know, a world where everything is made of Lego bricks, including the ground, which, you know, that's not what Lego Fortnite is like, I think would be really cool. Something closer to Minecraft, but still with these, you know, non-cube blocks. All right, well, that's pretty much all I have to say on Brickcraft. Again, check out the download below, check out the Omni Archive Discord server. And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.